McKinney Boyd is looking good going to the playoffs. 24 wins on the season, 4 losses, and 2 ties also as well from tournaments on the year. I'm joined by their head coach, Sneed, and coach 9-1 in the district, co-district champs with Plano West. Good matchups between you two. It was 5-4 each game. One you won against them, one you lost against them. What was the difference between the 2 games for your team?
Whenever we had our first district game at our place, I could feel it in the dugout. We were just on top the whole game, even though we didn't score first, but we just had this vibe about us that we knew we were going to win. And then going to their place, it was a little different. It was a little, I could tell nerves were working, and they had a stands full, and it just didn't work out in our favor that night.
Always a little different going on the road, especially in this district where the atmosphere at these games are so electric.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely is. And we started out on top that night and just had one inning with some crucial errors, and we ran out of ball game. So we made a comeback in the 7th, but again, we just didn't have enough time to pull it out. So.
Also had 2 great games with McKinney High this year, 4-2 victory, and then in this last game, 10 innings. It was one that went on forever, and finally were able to pull out 1 run in the end. Talk about what led up to that game-clinching hit in the top of the 10th.
Well, I felt all night long we just couldn't score runs. We kept runners on base, and they just held us off. Their pitcher did an excellent job to our hitters. She shut down several of our big hitters that night, which is always crucial. But then in the 10th inning, we led off with a double, and were able to move her over with a sacrifice, and then Carly Nicholas hit a triple to score the winning run, and then we held them off the 10th inning. So we ended up on top of that game.
Carly, she's towards the bottom of your order, but she has constantly throughout this year come up with that big hit when you've needed it the most.
She has, and it's not usually expected, but she's been very clutch for us this year, especially against the McKinney High game, and then in Plano, our first time there, she hit a triple to score the go-ahead run as well. So yeah, she's been great this year.
I believe her sister Jill leads your team in stolen bases on this season. Is there ever how much competition is there between the 2 sisters in practice for trying to best each other?
I mean, it's a fun competition. They kind of respect each other as far as their abilities go. So I mean, it's always fun. They always give each other a hard time, but they both give each other credit where credit's due. So that's good.
The top part of your order is stacked, and a lot of returning players from years past that are experienced players. They've sort of been through everything, and they really showed this year with their stats. Everybody hitting the upper 300s with the batting average at top, and Bailey Jo Jones has hit a ton of RBIs and homers as usual. Maddie Von Hagel's hit 24 RBIs. A lot of experience that it's going to prove to be pretty potent in the postseason.
Right. Yeah, our hitters have done a very good job of learning to hit for situations and learning to hit for the good of the team, not just how many home runs do I have. So yeah, they're very consistent this year, and it's been fun to watch them and continue to excel. So.
Erin Riding also, she's had some great stats this year. I have her down. These are unofficial stats. These probably aren't 100% accurate, but just a sub 1.5 ERA. Has over 120 strikeouts, and she has been the go-to pitcher as she was last year. Riley Wagner did a good job early in the season, kind of eating up some innings, getting her experience, and she had, I think, a 9-1 record or something like that to that effect on the year, so she's done well as well. Erin's had a couple of really important games throughout the season that match up with Louisville in the McKinney IC tournament, where she's gone up against the big teams and been able to perform well. That was a 2-1 loss. So that's going to bode well for her going into the playoffs.
Yeah, and she's done nothing but get better throughout the district. So I'm really excited to see some more competition, and I know that she'll rise to the occasion. She did really well and pitched all 10 innings Friday night, and she just continued to show her strength. So yeah, I look forward to her continuing to grow. She's, like I said, she's done nothing but keep improving. Every game, she cuts down on her walks and increases in strikeouts. So what more can you ask for?
Now, I know in the last game, Chelsea Thomas from McKinney High got a couple of home runs off of her. She had just her last game as a senior had an exceptional game for McKinney High. And what sort of adjustments is Erin going to make in the postseason to try and prevent that lawn ball from happening? That, one swing sometimes can be the difference in a game. Yeah,
you're exactly right. We just have to learn from our mistakes and learn that one accident pitch can cost you, and not to, especially on those crucial hitters, you need to make sure that we're not making a mistake, because the good hitters, they'll take advantage of it, like she did Friday night.
Now, we don't know exactly the playoff format yet
Right.
with your opponent. You're facing Richardson Berkner, you know that, but you still have yet to flip for if you're going to have a series or a one-game playoff. But it's going to be later this week,
Correct.
regardless, against Berkner. What do you know about their team, and what do you expect out of that first-round matchup?
I expect to have a really good game against them, and I expect to come out on top. I don't expect it to be too much competition. That's been voiced to me from both their coaches. So we'll look forward to a good win out of that.
And then draw sets up reasonably well for you going forward. You have the winner out of the Garland district potentially in the second round, Saxe, and you avoid the two other strong teams from 12-5A,
Right.
Horn and Rockwall. You wouldn't see them until a little bit later in the playoffs. And, of course, Plano West, being that they tied for you the district championship, they're also on the other side. So you have a chance to kind of get maybe a couple games under your belt potentially, as long as you keep focused going into deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're exactly right. We have some vengeance out on Rockwall as well, so we got to get back to them. So we'll be excited if that's who we end up facing.
Yeah, they're one of your four losses. Mentioned Louisville earlier, Plano West earlier, and then Montgomery. Your only 4 losses on the season. You also tied. I know one of the teams you tied with was North Forney, and they're a highly state-ranked team in 4A. It's all been good competition that you've had. Your shortfalls. You haven't had that game against necessarily a team that you didn't expect to come out and beat you. You've been able to hold off those sort of teams. What does that come down to? Is that it just mentally able to
Yeah,
stay
it's
tough?
just staying focused and making sure that you play every ball like it's the game-winning ball, and making sure that we're smart, we stay focused the entire 7 innings. It's hard for young teenagers to stay focused for that long, but it's really about that mental toughness. And I think we've proved that especially going the 10 innings Friday night, that our team, and they've showed it all year long. They know how to win. So they have a lot of heart, and they always fight. So it's exciting, especially when we face those tougher teams later on. So.
Your players going into the playoffs, how excited are they getting? Have you guys done any playoff shirts for the fans or for them in warm-ups, anything like that?
We do have some shirts coming out this week, and they are very excited about that. They're just hungry. They know that it's theirs to for the taking. So they're very excited. They know how possible it is to get to state and win it. So they've talked a lot about it. They're very excited, and I am too.
Well, Coach Sneed, thanks again for joining
Thank
us
you.
here on Sports Talk. Appreciate your time as always, and good luck to you in the postseason.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Again, McKinney Boyd playing Richardson Berkner in the first round of the playoffs later this week. Don't know yet if it's going to be one of those 3-game series or if it's going to be a 1-game playoff, so make sure you keep in touch with the news to find out when and what time Boyd is playing their softball first round matchup.